Hello. It says I have to quit and reopen this, so I will be right back. Do I have any of my moderators in here?
Hi, Karen.
Hi. I am.
So you're the facilitator from Amplify?
Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
Or were you in the middle of a conversation?
No. I was just going to let you know that to share my screen, it wants me to quit and come back in. So I was going to, it asks me to leave the session in charge of someone. So I was going to pick you.
Okay, very good.
Let me see if I can get back to that. What were you going to say?
I just wanted you to know that I was here to support you and anything you need.
Okay, let me see if I can get back to this. Well, maybe it'll just let me do it now.
Oh, yeah.
Is it just doing it? Okay, well, maybe it doesn't.
Sure is.
Stop. Normally I am in Google Meet, so you probably can see my entire screen. Let's see, open system. Oh, here it is. To make me do it again. So let's just check it out really quick here and see what it's going to do. Yeah, it is going to ask me to leave again. So I will put it in charge of you, and then I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, it's not asking me to do it, so we'll see what happens here. I'm going to share this slideshow with you guys. I just share the welcome slide so that everybody can sign in. And then, so I shared the sign in, I turned on the live transcript, and now I need to make you a co-host.
I feel like I am. It's weird. Because I have access to settings, but maybe not. Yeah, make me a co-host just to be.
Okay, I'm not on Zoom very often, so I'm kind of bumbling my way through here. Make co-host. There we go. And then do I have one other person that I also need to make co-host that's in here?
No, I don't think so. I'll be your backup person, and a couple, Claudia might come. She wants me to send her the link, but I'm not quite sure how to do this in this format. So I was looking to see.
We might have the
if
link in an email.
Yeah.
Now that I'm sharing my screen and I have to share my entire screen, I'm loath to open up my email for everyone to see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I can do a separate screen at the same time.
Right.
I could. Oh, I actually have a second screen here that I can use. I think Dan Frost sent the original.
Yeah, that would make sense.
It might be. As a reminder, please make sure to log into Zoom events. And then this is a link right here. I will put that into the chat. I see if I can just send it straight to you.
Perfect, thank you.
I'm not sure if it's the link or not. I don't want to click on it because I don't want to mess up what I'm doing, but maybe you can. Anastasia, why do I not see you in here? Anna, there you are. Okay, so I just sent that to you. Those of you who are here, and we'll get started in just a minute, but if you would like to use this QR code with your phone to be able to log your attendance for this meeting. Anastasia, are you familiar with going through the portal to get to Amplify and all of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask you a clarifying question? We were told that we only needed to sign in at the beginning of the day for all the things. So do we need to sign in a second time?
I don't believe so. If you've given yourself credit for, did you sign in for like the whole day, like 7 hours or whatever it is?
I did. Yeah. First, I only had,
then
you counted
all
so many things, but then they told me to go and redo it because I only did 3 hours, and then they were like, "Oh no, it's the whole day, 7 hours." I was like, "Okay, thank you." So we're good.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
All right, so it is 1:30, so we are going to go ahead and get started. And I am here with you for about an hour and 45 minutes. We are going to look at your Amplify curriculum. We're going to get you ready to, hopefully during this time, get you ready to start that unit. So becoming familiar with that unit here during this time. Make sure that you know how to get onto the Amplify platform, how to find your Amplify portal, just, clarifying all of that, and then showing you what your first unit looks like and where to find your second and your third and possibly your fourth unit. You don't have any more than 4 units from Amplify. You do have a 0 unit, which is a beginning unit for the beginning of the year, which we'll look at. So I'm actually not going to use slides. Really, we are mostly just going to look at your resources, your links, your portal, and then just be on the Amplify curriculum. And Anastasia, you probably know more about this than I do, so please feel free to jump in and correct me if I say anything that's not right, because you guys have a whole system going on, and I've looked at it, but you know, I'm sure I do not completely understand it. So please feel free. Okay, so going through your portal, and I have a whole bunch of stuff up here that I need to try and keep track of. And again, I'm used to just sharing one. There we go. There is your portal. And then Anastasia, do you have the URL for that? Can you put that into the chat for us?
Yes, I sure do. I sure do.
So this is what your portal looks like. Just kind of your introduction to Amplify. You have quite a few things in here. Your district has done a lot of work to really help, you know, make this smooth for you. Talks about using your science notebooks. It talks about what scope and sequence you have, the connections to ELA and math, which we have a lot of, especially in ELA within Amplify. And then just some other things that can be really helpful for you, how to access the Amplify digital tools and books and Sims. This is really an important one to know, because this is how your students will be accessing Amplify. Your students do not have their own logins at K5. They are logging into the student apps page. So you will be having them go in either through this portal. Do you know how the students log in, Anastasia?
Through Clever.
Through Clever. Okay, I was going to say, yeah, if you have a Clever account, then typically they'll just click on their Amplify tile through Clever, and it'll just take them right into the student apps page. All right. So you will be clicking on your grade level here to go into Amplify through your portal. So I'm just going to go into, I'm going to pick third grade here for us to go into. So the first thing that it does is it actually links you to your kind of your scope and sequence with that 0 launch unit for the beginning of the year as well. And then you have quite a bit of information within these little tiles here that will help you get ready to teach the unit. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to skip the I am a scientist one, unless we need to take a look at that. Should we take a look at that, Anastasia?
We don't need to, because we did a session at the new teacher orientation, and we'll come back to it on the district buyback day. So,
Okay.
but do note it. It's a super helpful short unit on getting your students ready to be scientists and setting up your science notebooks.
Love it. I actually kind of wish that we had that. We have this for the 6-8. We have a launch unit, but we don't have it at K5. So that's really cool that you guys made that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to click into balancing forces here, which would be the first unit for third grade. And notice that the first thing it does is that it takes you to this getting ready to teach page. So this is where we're going to be going today. So we have the link for the portal is in the chat.
Yes.
So if you guys can go over to the chat, find the link to the portal, and then click on your grade level so that you are looking at your preparing to teach slide or page, just like I am for third grade. I'm going to give you guys just a second to do that. We're going to go through this first, and then I'm going to take you into the Amplify site, and then we're going to kind of look at where you find these things through Amplify. And we'll look at what your second and third and fourth unit are for the year. I have demo sign-ins for you today if your Clever isn't working. So you can use the demo today, and then once you're licensed for the year, then you can just go in through your Clever account. All right, so hopefully everybody is on their district preparing to teach page here. And the first thing that we're going to do is actually, I think I'm going to skip the unit overview video. I'll let you guys come back and watch that on your own. The first thing I'm going to actually have you do is go into your unit map and read about your storyline. So I am kind of wondering, does everybody else have access here? If not, I will show you where to find this on the Amplify site. I think I don't have access to it because I am not part of your district. But hopefully your unit map is there. Anastasia, if you've clicked on the unit map and you can see what it looks like, can you let us know, does it look like the one?
Let me see. Sorry, I was talking to a middle school person who's here by accident.
No worries. I'm actually going to, while you guys are here, I'm going to click over and I'm going to go into my Amplify so that I can show you what it looks like from the Amplify website. And that's neither one of those, is it? Okay, we'll go back there and then I'll come over here, go into Amplify. We'll kind of look at what this looks like on the website and through your portal. All right, so if I go to 3rd grade, so I clicked up here on science and it just, for demo purposes, we have all the grades in here. So I'm just going to click on this caret. I'm going to click on 3rd grade. I see all 4 of those same units minus the launch unit. And I click into balancing forces. For our platform, planning for the unit on the left-hand side here, right after you click on the unit, will give you the unit map. I just want to say read more, and I can read chapter by chapter. So my first little paragraph here talks about the phenomena that you'll be tackling, right? The real world problem that you'll be solving throughout this unit. So the first little paragraph talks about that. And then it goes into each chapter. It tells you what the chapter question is. So how are we breaking down that science or breaking down that phenomena, the pieces of that phenomena, so that we can answer them in little chunks, so we can answer the big question. And it tells you what your students will figure out during that chapter and what science and engineering practices, what activities they'll be doing to figure it out. So how they will figure it out. It's a short little read. I'm going to give you guys a chance to read that. And if you could put into the chat when you've had a chance to look through your unit map, either through your portal or through Amplify. And if you guys want me to put you, to get you on with the demo accounts, you can let me know now and we can do that now. Not sure which one's going to be better for you. I had a couple questions. Where do we access the unit map? So let me go back to your portal here. So to remember kind of which one is the right one. There's one of them. Aha, here we go. Okay, so I went in through the portal and I just clicked on the grade level and then it opened up this page. So I'll go back in through the portal here. I have all of these open because I need most of them open to show you guys. I tried to open a bunch of the things that I had for you. So let me go.
And I was able to open it, Karen, the unit map for 3rd grade balancing forces.
Does it look like it does on the portal, or is it a little bit different?
Just like the portal, it's a PDF of, yes. In fact, it's, yeah, it's the same.
Okay. So go in through the portal that there's a link for it. There's a bit.ly link, it looks like, in the chat. In fact, I'll grab it and put it in the chat again. right, so there it's right down there at the bottom if you need that. As soon as you open that, click on your grade level at the bottom, it'll open this up, and then you're going to click on your unit map. Yes, this is a K5. This is for people who are just K5. So if you are in middle school, it will not pertain to you probably as much. Or at all, because I see you have a different curriculum for 6-8. Thank you, Anastasia, for manning that chat. It is wild in there. There's a lot going on. Okay, please let me know when you've had enough time to look at your unit map. And I know there's a lot of us in here. So as soon as I see the chat just sort of blow up with like, yep, I'm ready, we will move on. All right, so I tried the link, but don't see the page you are showing for the unit map. Okay. We are going to, what grade level are you, Chandra? First, okay. Let me kind of go back here, see if I can. Let's go into first grade. And then we'll click into the animal and plant defenses.
And someone noted that there is not if you're starting with unit 0, just to repeat what Karen had mentioned, which is that San Francisco Unified Teachers created unit 0. So it's not part of Amplify. There's no unit map for it, but it's very short. It's 4 lessons. But the unit maps begin with unit 1, which is the beginning of the Amplify curriculum.
Yes, thank you. And also I am looking at the unit 1 for animal and plant defenses for first grade. I also don't see the unit map. So go ahead and watch the unit overview video. That should be fairly similar. We won't be as quiet once everyone has had a chance to just orient themselves to their unit, because we're going to go into the coherence flowchart next, and I will be talking a lot about that. No unit map I see for kindergarten, you one as well as prepare teaching unit. Let's look at that one. Let's go ahead and watch the unit overview video. So if you don't have a unit map, go ahead and watch your unit overview video instead. So I'm going to give us another 5 minutes to get through that, just because there are some people who are still looking for it. And so you should get pretty close. Some of those videos are about 6 minutes, but we'll move on after that.
Can you add the links, please, for these units?
Add the links for the units. So you should be able to, from this link here, which is in the chat, you should be able to find the links for the units down here at the bottom.
Okay, it's not in the chat for me yet.
Okay, let me go.
I'll put it in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anastasia suggested bookmarking this, the link to this portal, which is a great idea.
Karen, there isn't a separate agenda for this session, is there?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay, just double checking. Somebody asked for an agenda link.
Yeah, no, we're just going to be going through these steps to orient yourself to the unit, and then just make sure that everybody can get on the platform until, so that they have their demo access until you guys have licensing, until your licensing goes through, so that you definitely have access to the program at the beginning of the school year. And then we'll just make sure that everybody knows where to find everything.
And let me just recap for people who came in later. What you're looking at right now on the screen is the district science, elementary science portal, which is where we direct everyone to access science curriculum. So really that bit.ly that you see there that says SFUSD K5 Science, if you have that bookmarked and can get to this and go to your grade level, you can access the launch unit that was created by San Francisco Unified Teachers. And then the very first unit for your grade level has been modified by San Francisco Unified Teachers to make it add in more local knowledge to it and try to shrink down some of it so that it's easier to fit in all the science that needs to be taught in a year. And what Karen is referring to today is when you start the second unit, you're going to directly to the Amplify curriculum website. So that's what she's focusing on, helping us understand. So it's kind of a convoluted journey from district created and supported materials to purely Amplify, which is the curriculum that the district has adopted. So just trying to clarify that, Karen.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I looked at some of your things too that where you were connecting to local stuff, and that was pretty cool. All right, hopefully everyone has had a chance to check out their unit map or at least listen to part of your unit overview video. If you didn't get to do all of it, that's okay, because the next thing that we're going to go in and look at is another sort of map of your unit, and we call it the coherence flowchart. I find it really helpful to use the coherence flowchart when I'm planning for lessons, and you'll see why, because it just really focuses in on what it is your students are learning and why. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and click on the third grade again, and we'll click on balancing forces. And we're going to go ahead and open up that coherence flowchart. Before I do that, though, I'm actually going to get you guys online. So that way, if for some reason this isn't working, you can go in through the online platform, which I'm hoping that's not convoluting things by doing too many things at once. But if you want to stick with this and that's working for you, that's fine. If you want to go into the Amplify platform and follow me there, that's fine too. So I just clicked on Amplify, and that took me to the Amplify. Actually, it actually just logged me in. Let me log out, and then it'll be more like what you guys are seeing. Okay, so here from my portal, right, from my grade level in my portal, and I've clicked on my first unit. And so right here it says Amplify Digital Platform. I'm clicking there. And then it takes me to the login page. So that's one way that you can log in. You can also click on this login with Clever, and then it will just log you in through your single sign-on once your Clever sign-on is working. From what I understand right now, I don't think that you guys are all licensed yet. I think that Amplify and San Francisco Unified are still working on that together. So I am going to give you a login. I'm going to put it into the chat. You're going to do this, believe you're going to do this through Amplify. So you're going to choose login with Amplify. You're not going to use that one. I will show you which one to use. Okay, so I'm going to just take that out of there. Oh, there we go. And in the chat, I will put what you need to use. So you don't need, let's see, you don't need to go to that. So you just need to type this into the username. So it's t1.sfusd science at demo.try. You can just copy and paste this out of here, which is much easier because it's very long. Try amplify.net. Okay, that is the username, and then the password is this. And it's very important that it's done exactly this way. I suggest copy and paste. There you go, that's the password. Let's check it and see if it works. All right, it worked for me. Did it work for everyone else? So again, once your Clever tile starts working, you can click on that, the Amplify platform through your portal, and you can then just click it, log in with Clever and use your Clever sign on, and it will take you in. Until then, you can use this one. And, if you go ahead and write it down, you'll just want to log in with Amplify if you're using this one. All right, I am going to, so we have a couple different options here. One, you can click on the coherence flowchart here. I'm not going to click on that one because it won't open for me. I'm going to find it here in my unit, which is good because when you get to unit 2 and unit 3, you have them there as well, but you can find them here. Okay, so here I'm going to click on Science California. Oh, and then I'm going to click on 3rd grade, and I'm going to click on balancing forces. And my coherence flowchart is in my printable resources. So I click on printable resources, and then it's right here on the right-hand side. Let me know in the chat if you need me to repeat that, if you're following me. So your coherence flowchart should look something like this. So if you are finding your coherence flowchart right now, if you could just sort of stop what you're doing and put your attention up here on my screen for balancing forces, I'm going to explain to you what the coherence flowchart does, how it works, and then we'll go back to you looking at yours through the lens of what I'm about to explain to you. And then if you need help finding it at that point too, we can work on that as well. So you just looked at your unit map, which again talked about, that first paragraph was about the phenomena or the real world problem that your students are going to apply the science that they learn 2, right? They're going to take that, they're going to be learning that science. They're going to apply the science to the real world problem to figure out or solve that issue. So right here at the top, we have our phenomena, or we have our real world problems. So for balancing forces, the floating train rises, it floats to above the track, and then later falls back to the track. How is it possible for the train to float? So that's the real world issue that we're trying to figure out. How is it possible for that train to float? And then we break down that phenomena into different questions that we can answer. If we can answer each one of the chapter questions, we can go back and we can speak to answering that larger question, that phenomena question. So the first little piece that we're going to break it down into is the chapter 1 question. And that is, why does the train rise, right? So we're going to figure out why it rises, we're going to figure out why it falls, and then we're going to figure out why it floats. So why does the train rise? So phenomena, then in orange, you have that chapter question. The next thing down is going to be the investigation question. And notice the investigation question is followed by lessons. So this is chapter 1, lesson 2, 1.3, chapter 1, lesson 4. So lesson 2, 3, and 4 in chapter 1 are all going to be applied to answering this investigation question. So why do we have a chapter question and an investigation question? The chapter question is referring to, we're breaking down the phenomena. We're breaking down the real world application. The investigation question is the reason, it's the science that your students are going to learn. It's the reason to do the science so that they can apply it back to the phenomena. So to answer, why does the train rise? We need to know the science answer. We need to know what makes an object start to move. And that's going to be forces. So right below this, you have your blue section, and your blue section is the activities that your students are doing within the lessons that's really driving the learning of that science to be able to answer that investigation question, to be able to learn that science concept. And then they're also gathering evidence from those activities or from those sources. And again, it tells you exactly what lesson you're going to be doing. So in lesson 2, like in lesson 1, you're just going to be doing a pre-unit assessment and introducing the unit. In lesson 2, you're going to be investigating by making blocks move, right? You can answer the question, what makes an object start to move? So very first, right off the bat, we're going to do a hands-on investigation and we're going to make some blocks move. Then in lesson 3, we're going to read the book Forces All Around. And then your students are going to partner read and look for evidence of a force, right? So they're going to be looking for pushes and pulls, that evidence of that force. By the way, when we're talking about pushes and pulls, I don't know how many of you know, but that is actually a kindergarten unit. So if your students have been in Amplify for a while, they're going to be coming from kindergarten, having done an entire unit on pushes and pulls. And now they're going to take that background information on pushes and pulls, and they're going to apply it. They're going to learn that we call that a force. So they're going to look for evidence of forces, evidence of things that are moving within this book. Then in lesson 4, they're going to view a domino video, watching all the dominoes fall down, the chain reaction. And then they're going to create and analyze their own chain reaction also in lesson 4. And those 4 activities across those 3 lessons are going to give your students the evidence that they need to come up with a key concept, that concept that will give them the science that they've learned to be applied back to the phenomena. So what they learned? They learned that a force acts between 2 objects. We got there in lesson 3 after doing these 2 activities. And then when an object starts moving or stops moving, that is our evidence that a force has acted on it. So we come to these 2 key concepts through these activities. Then we have another little blue part, and this is the application of these key concepts to the phenomena. So your last lesson in every single chapter is going to be taking what they've learned and applying it back to the phenomena or answering the chapter question. So you're going to discuss why the train starts to move because a force is acting on it. And then you're going to be writing a scientific explanation about the floating train. So you're going to actually be writing a scientific explanation answering the chapter 1 question with the evidence and from what you've learned in those activities. In third grade, you will actually be explicitly teaching your students how to write a scientific explanation. So you'll notice that in the first units that you're doing, you're going to really be talking a lot about what that looks like when you're writing a scientific explanation. You're going to be talking about what features that explanation needs to have. And you're going to have a gradual release of responsibility across the third grade for your students to really learn how that works and what that looks like. Fourth and fifth grade, then we will kind of have an expectation that they come in knowing how to do that. We'll teach it a little bit more in fourth grade. By fifth grade, they should be able to write a scientific explanation and know exactly what that looks like. Kindergarten and first grade, you'll be writing with your students as well, but kindergarten and first grade, you will be doing a shared write. You will actually be doing a shared write to come up with your key concepts with your students. And then second grade is a bit of a transition year. We're gonna do some writing with them. We're gonna have them do some writing on their own, but we don't expect them to be able to write a scientific explanation yet in second grade. We'll start explicitly teaching that in third grade. So this is then an exemplar, not a third grader, not what a third grader would write, but an exemplar of the answer to the chapter question. The train rises because a force acts on it. The train started to move when an object the train started to move, and when an object changes how it is moving, that means that a force has acted on it. So we're just taking what we've learned, we're taking those key concepts and we're applying it back to our train. So that's how our coherence flowchart works. Again, this really helps me, and I've heard from multiple teachers across the country that as you're planning your lessons, just sort of knowing exactly what activities you're doing that are lending your students to be able to, that is really driving the learning of the science, and then exactly how they're applying that science back to the phenomena in each chapter is really helpful in staying focused on those lessons and getting through those lessons in the time that you have to get through them. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to check out your coherence flowchart. And then there are a lot of you in here, but I'm going to ask that a few of you chat with me about how you see yourself using the coherence flowchart when you're planning your lessons. If anyone needs more instructions on finding the coherence flowchart, please let me know. Christy, I'm sorry you're having a hard time hearing things. There is closed captioning on the bottom. I don't know if that makes it any easier. I see in the chat, I can imagine using this flowchart to see which lessons I can trim off or combine so that units fit the school year or the school grade calendar better. And yes, I would definitely say that that is a really useful way of using the coherence flowchart. Another thing that I like to point out to teachers, and thank you for pointing that out, Dylan, because it reminded me, is that when you get towards the end of the chapter, not the very last lesson, because the very last lesson is when you're applying the science to the phenomena. So I wouldn't skip out on any of that. But as you're getting through the lessons in the chapter, like the second to last lesson, sometimes you're going to see some redundancy. And you might have a classroom full of kids that are really familiar with magnets or really familiar with forces, and they're just flying through and they're just picking it up and everything's just flowing. And you get to an activity and you think, gosh, I'm not sure we need to do this activity. Like, I think the kids got it, or I think I can just do a quick demonstration and we can move on, and everyone will be much happier when we get to the next chapter or to the next lesson. So when you see that redundancy, we don't ever advise that you skip anything. We say shorten it, don't skip it. But also, when you understand where it is you're going and why you're doing what you're doing, it helps you to be able to make those higher level decisions for your students in your classroom, because you know what's going on there and you know what they need and what they don't need. So if you're going to skip something, or if you're going to, kind of go through it a little bit more quickly, just be very meaningful about your choices so that your students get all of those pieces that are in there. But it does have that little bit of, it's not redundant. It's just, we're hitting that same concept in every modality. So that in that way, we see a lot of repetition. And so we don't always need all of that repetition. We put it in there so that we can catch, all of your students and all the different ways that they learn. But if you've got a class that's just getting it real fast, you don't always have, you don't need to take a key concept and beat it to death. If they've got it, they've got it. You can go ahead and move on. You know what your class needs. Anyone else have any thoughts about using the coherence flowchart? Right above Dylan, Anastasia, there is a message. Can you private message that person and let them know where we're at?
Strangely, I don't even see Dylan's. I'm not sure if Dylan.
Oh, they're coming
private message you.
Coming through as direct messages to me.
Yes. Feel free to send something on to me, and I'm more than happy to respond.
Yes, I will. And I'm sending the name here. Just give me a second. Yeah, will it let me? Yes. All right, I'm going to give you guys about 2 more minutes to engage with your flow chart and just get a chance to really check that out. And then we are going to move on. Yes, the digital print version of things is nice. Nice not to have to store a bunch of stuff. Give you guys 1 more minute to check this out. Anyone else want to share how they feel like they would use the coherence flow chart, or just any insight that they had? Yeah, Jennifer, I agree. It's a quick way to see each chapter's overview so I know what I'm looking forward to in each lesson. Yeah, it really makes me feel like, okay, this is the one thing in this lesson that we really need to focus in on and make sure we get done. Or make sure that we know we have a good comprehension of. All right, I am going to move us on to the progress build now. So you can click on your progress build here within your portal. I am going to find the progress build here in my balancing forces unit. It's still under planning for the unit. And it's right here. So I had my unit map and I have my progress build. So I'm going to open up my progress build. The progress build, I like it for two reasons. One, it is actually what came first when these units were being created by the Lawrence Hall of Science. So they came up with three steps of what they needed students to know from whatever their prior knowledge is to having a deep causal understanding of the science in the unit. They came up with three pieces of it, right? Three builds. Imagine it like a staircase. We're going from that beginning state of whatever our prior knowledge is to that deep understanding. So they did that, and then they built their units around the progress build. And the other thing that I really like about it is it tells you what they assume your students' prior knowledge is going into the unit. So they assume that your third graders for this one have prior knowledge that when you push or pull something, it moves. So you can see that the prior knowledge section is typically pretty dead on for what your students probably know coming in. There's not usually a very high expectation of prior knowledge, even though in kindergarten, they would have had the pushes and pulls unit, but that is really what they would have learned in kindergarten. But by the time you get to third grade, you usually know that if you push something, it moves. All right. So you're going to have your three levels of your progress build. For this one, balancing forces, you can see that the first progress build coincides with that first piece that we looked at in our coherence flow chart. A force is a push or a pull that acts between two objects. So that's what we learned in that first chapter. And then we go on, I believe chapter 2 and chapter 3 both address this progress build in that forces can be touching or non-touching. And that's where the magnets start to come in, because magnets can actually push and pull things without touching them. And then our very final piece that we need our students to understand for that deep causal explanation is that more than one force can act on an object at the same time. And when those forces are balanced, meaning when they're giving the same amount of push or pull, an object will remain still. And when those forces are unbalanced, the object will start to move again. So this is our final explanation in why the train floats, because the magnets that are pushing the train up are equal, the force is equal to gravity pushing down. And so our train floats in the middle. We're also going to be learning about electromagnets within this unit so that we can turn that magnet on and off. When we turn the magnet on, it pushes and equals the force of gravity. When we turn that magnet off, then gravity has the stronger force and it pushes it back down to the tracks. So your students will be able to explain all of that by the end of this unit. And they will be explicitly taught how to write a scientific explanation. So you should have a really wonderful piece of language arts writing at the end of this unit. And you will see them, that writing improve across the school year as well. They will do one of your units focuses on argumentation. So one of those units will be, the writing will be a scientific argument versus a scientific explanation, and they'll learn the difference between the two. So I'm going to give you guys a chance to look at your progress build, and we're just going to do that very quickly because it just really takes just a minute there. So I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to check out your progress build. All right, before we go into the lessons themselves, I'm just going to point out on this far right-hand side some of the things that you have available to you through the district. So it looks like, and I'm assuming when I open these, yes, I will not have access. So I wanted to point out that you have some vocabulary images, which is really nice that you have those images. A lot of teachers ask for those images to put up on your board to go along with your vocabulary. What I love about the fact that the district provided those is that I'm guessing that they are fairly particular to your area. So I'm not, depends on what images are coming up, but a lot of times it's hard for us to provide images because we have people from all over the United States, and some images are more appropriate than others when it comes to different places that kids live. You also have those key concepts and your vocabulary cards in Chinese, which is really nice. I think do you also have them in Spanish through through Amplify? Yes, okay. Amplify themselves does them in Spanish as well. So you will have them for Spanish and Chinese. The English version of them is going to be in your kits, or should be in your kits, but if you don't have those, let's come over here to our Amplify curriculum and I will show you where to find them. So again, I'm in the Balancing Forces unit, right? I've just clicked into the unit right here. And again, under printable resources, you will have right here, it says print materials. Here are your print materials in English. And then down here in the far left-hand corner, it says English and Espanol. You can click over to the Spanish version. And then I believe your materials will be in Spanish. Yeah. So you have those available to you. So the English and the Spanish are here, and then your Chinese version is in your portal where we were just looking. So your Chinese version will be here. Your pre and post unit assessment PDFs are right here for you. Within the platform, you will find those within the lesson that you'll be teaching or doing that assessment. So, let me switch out of Spanish here. So for your pre-unit assessment within the platform will just be, see right here, it says pre-unit assessment lesson 1.1. So I will click on that. And then right here under my digital resources, I have the pre-unit writing right here. But you have it housed here, here, and that's nice. You have some report card guidance, which is great. A lot of teachers ask about that across the nation. So it's very nice that the district has kind of thought about that ahead of time. You have an abridged student notebook, and then you have some distance learning lessons. So just pointing out some of those things that you have there. Okay, I believe that if we go here, yes, I actually have access to this. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to look at that very first unit. So Anastasia mentioned earlier that your first unit, so you have that 0 unit, which is the launch unit, which is here. The first unit you also have that's modified and also brings in a little bit more of your local, local pieces that you have around to just kind of bring into that unit, to bring in some of that local knowledge. So let's go ahead and click on your implementation guide, wherever it might be. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the different grade levels. So for 3rd grade, I'm going to click here and let you guys take a look at how your first unit is laid out here. For 3rd grade, I noticed that you have some bookmarks to be able to just, I believe it would just pop you down to where these pieces are within this document. You have your scope and sequence for the year. You have, for this specific unit, you have your 3D standards, right? So you have your DCIs, your SCPs, and your CCCs. You have your unit vocabulary with definitions. And you have some planning tips and some management tips, which is a port. I'm trying to look at, okay. And then you can see your lessons. I'm going to have you guys look in here, and then I am curious and would like for you to share with me something that relates back to the area that you live in that you will be using. Let's see if you find anything. I'm not kind of readily seeing much here in this balancing forces with the train, but that kind of makes sense just because it's not. Oh, actually, it's not a floating train. Yeah, what were you going to say?
I did want to just mention, because it's this unit, if you go to the San Francisco modified instructional unit, there's a whole theme through it where the students are having to help the mayor, the current mayor of San Francisco, understand why this type of train might be helpful. So it isn't in the implementation guide, which was developed as we adopted it, but it is in where you can see the yellow arrow, the balancing forces.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, go ahead. And that one, I thought that one was modified for COVID, so I didn't open that one, but that makes sense. So that one's the one that's modified for San Francisco. Okay. So go ahead and open the one that is modified. This one has a yellow box around it. I'm going to go back and we're going to look at what does kindergarten look like. So we'll go into needs of plants and animals. And then I believe this is the modified version. Does this look like the right version? Okay. So I'm going to let you guys take a few minutes to look through that. And if you can find what's the local piece that is there? And let's see for first grade. Animal and plant defenses. Oh my gosh, this one I'm guessing has to do with the aquarium in San Francisco. Yeah. All right. Second grade. I'm curious about this one for San Francisco. And that looks like the correct modified version. Third grade we opened. Let's try fourth grade. Energy conversions. You guys probably know all about blackouts. I'm in Sacramento, so we know all about blackouts. So this one again is going to be the one with the yellow arrow pointing. You're going to go to that one. And then I'm going to guess fifth grade is similar. Patterns of earth and sky. Yep, so you're going to go to your revised version. So I'm going to give you guys probably about 10 minutes to look that over. And if you find something specific to San Francisco, if you could share it with us in the chat. I really would love to teach this, the kindergarten unit in Monterey, where you can go see all the butterflies dripping from the trees in October. All right, about 2 more minutes for you guys to check that out. Mrs. Klein, a local field trip opportunity for kindergarten for the first unit field trip. Visit the green hair streak corridor in the inner sunset. I live in Sacramento and I have never heard of this place. So now I'll be looking it up. Thank you, Mrs. Klein, for sharing. Anyone else have anything that they see that's specific to San Francisco within their lessons there? I am very curious about some of these, like patterns of earth and sky. I'm kind of curious about that one. We do have our, more local, I guess, constellations and things like that. But other than that, I can't think of anything specific to San Francisco.
Yeah, I think that one was harder to localize. It's the night sky.
You guys, it would be kind of fun if you just picked one to localize, because I can thinking like in 5th grade, ecosystem restoration seems like it would be a great one for San Francisco. Oh, is there an observatory? I'm sure San Francisco has an observatory somewhere.
Yeah, both San Francisco State and Academy of Sciences have indoor, not observatories, but yeah, the South Bay. It's a little bit far, Mount Hamilton. I'm not sure if there's one in the city.
Probably too much light in the city for one to actually look out into the night. Can anyone share, let's see, what was 4th grade? Oh, energy conversions. Can anyone share what the 4th grade energy conversions connection to San Francisco was? Twin Peaks is actually great if it's not foggy. I think fog is usually a problem too, though. What about 4th grade? Anyone share about 4th grade? Chabot Space and Science Center in Oakland. I just had visions of putting a whole classroom of students on the train and what a nightmare that would be. Anyone? Bueller, anyone share about 4th grade? It's almost, yeah, there's a lot, yeah, for a town hall discussion. Anastasia, can you share with us what is in the 4th grade that's there?
When we created that was the day that the sky turned totally dark. So I think that I can't remember if that's actually in the 5th or the 4th, but because of the smoke. So just that slight connection. And I was trying to remember the other, just because there had been blackouts, not in recent years, but referring to students' own experience of being in a blackout. and connecting to how much solar and wind energy there is that San Francisco is trying to use to power the city. So there's a wind farm going towards Sacramento, and a lot of the public works here are covered with solar. So connecting in that way.
Yeah, that was kind of where I went, was I was thinking that there's probably quite a bit of solar in the San Francisco area being utilized. All right, is anyone else curious about what their connections there are to San Francisco within their unit? We did second, oh, what about second grade with the plant and animal relationships? Let's see. I know there's a lot of information here, but what is really helpful and what I found to be really helpful when I was looking through, I think I was looking through the kindergarten one, kindergarten or first grade. I literally just clicked on these lessons and opened them up. Let's see, what did, thought I clicked on them. That one has a bookmark. Yeah, let's go to the bookmark. There we go. And then I just sort of read through what it was that you guys were doing. Field trip opportunity. This could be a great recurring walking field trip to a nearby park or habitat, beach to observe plants and animals. I don't know if you guys do have any butterflies in the San Francisco area, but just the butterflies and how they overwinter in the trees is a definitely, you know, a coexisting sort of relationship. I guess the trees are not really relying on the butterflies, but the butterflies rely on the trees. In this unit, we're looking at elephants moving seeds for the chalta tree, but you know, our birds also move all kinds of seeds in you know, these kind of areas as well, more city type areas. They're going to be creating a site and checking out the plants and animals that are within that site. To study the habitat, which is pretty interesting because habitats look quite a bit different, you know, in a city than they do, say, in the country or on a farm. Look at this here. So introduce the Buxa Reserve. This the lead scientist at the reserve noticed something is changing with the trees. So this is different because this is not the one that we do. This is a slightly different one. This shows students pictures of the plants in the broadleaf forest habitat. Oh, maybe it is the same. But I didn't know it was called the Buxa Reserve. I thought it was called something else. No, it is. It's the Bengal Tiger Reserve. It's the same. All right. Well, I think we've had plenty of time to check out the just kind of the way this works, and you know, what you have in your lessons, and the, you know, the timing of the lessons, where to find your links for things, all for your first unit. So this is where you're going to access your first unit. Your second, third, and fourth unit, you're going to access through Amplify. So I'm going to go back again. You can start here and you can go into, let's go into a second. Let's go into I'm going to go back into third grade because I like to pick on third grade. And we're going to go into that second unit, inheritance and traits. So you still have all of these great resources for getting ready to teach the unit. You still have an implementation guide, but all you have to do is click right here. And once again, that will take you directly to the Amplify platform. And then you're just going to log in with Clever. I'm already logged in, so it just took me right back over there. So then you're going to find your second unit like this. So you will probably not have this drop down with all the units here. If you're a first grade teacher, it should just open up and you'll see all of your first grade units like I see here. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to find the third grade here really quick, and we're going to open up this second unit, inheritance and traits. I have still all those same things, although you have them right back here. So you don't even need to try to find them. You can just click here to look at and get ready to teach your unit. And then all you need to do when you click into the unit is just scroll down a little bit to where you see your chapters and click into the lesson that you want to teach. Very simple. So we're going to click into lesson 2 here. And actually, I'm going to go back. Let's click into lesson 1 because that's where that pre-unit assessment is. And for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, your pre-unit assessment is a writing piece. And it looks very similar to what your students are going to be doing for their end of unit assessment, which is very cool because you can take what they know at the beginning of a unit and you can compare it to what they know and what they can explain at the end of the unit. And you see this huge amount of growth. The other thing too is that sometimes you have kids that think that they don't need to do the unit because let's say I'm a 3rd grader and I know a lot about magnets because maybe I went to, a summer camp or something like that, or maybe I'm just really into science. So I already know that the train is being held up by magnets. So I don't feel like I need to do it. I guarantee you give them that pre-unit assessment where they explain and they have to have that deep causal explanation. And when they start trying to explain what they know, we find out that there is some really good prior knowledge there, but they don't have the language to articulate that deep causal explanation. And they will by the end of the unit. So when my son told me that he didn't need to do the unit because he knew all about magnets and he was pretty sure he knew what was going on, I asked him to explain it to me in the pre-unit assessment. And he was like, I just don't know how to say any of this. And I said, yeah. I said, that's pretty common. So we're going to go through this unit. This was during COVID. And by the end, you are going to be able to explain it. You're just going to be that much smarter about magnets. So getting a little buy-in sometimes from your students who really feel like, I already know this stuff. So that's at pre-unit assessment. I'm going to click into that really quick just to remind you that that writing is right here. I just clicked into the lesson and I scrolled down to my digital resources and the pre-unit writing is right there. You still have it out here. I'm sure maybe you don't have it out here in the and more section. That's okay. You have it right here. So it's just within the lesson that you're teaching it in. So you're going to introduce the unit and then you're going to do the pre-unit assessment and it's right there for you to print out. So now I'm going to go into lesson 2. And we're going to take a look at what that looks like. You have a whole teacher's guide, just like it's a print teacher's guide with all of this teacher talk right here. But I'm going to tell you that you really don't need to spend your limited amount of time going through all of this teacher talk that's here. And I'll tell you why. Because, and I'm right here in the first section of the lesson, I'm going to click back over here on the lesson brief. Right? So I can click here and I can see each section of the lesson and I can see all that teacher talk. But if I go from the lesson brief, if I just click on my classroom slides, I'm wondering if I don't have access because I'm not. Oh yeah, you just have to click on make a copy. That's a new thing that Amplify's been doing. It's been throwing me off. If I click on make a copy, I believe it will just open. There we go. So you just want to make a copy and it'll open it up for you. So if I go into my slides, I see the exact same, right? Here's the very first part of my, oh, actually, here's the first activity in my lesson, introducing asking questions. And I can just teach straight from these slides. Any teacher talk you really need is going to be right down here, and my closed captioning is covering it. So let me see if I can move it a little bit and grab it. There we go. Oh, it's still in the way. There, let's try that.
We can see it from our
Yeah,
perspective.
those three little dots that are right there, if you grab those and move them up, you can see any teacher talk that you would need. You can see right there. So it's just in your presenter notes, any of that teacher talk. But you know what? I don't even worry so much about that teacher talk, because everything you really need to say, for the most part, is right here on the slide. Sometimes there will be some responses that your students will give, and you might think, what response am I looking for from my student? Those responses that you're looking for will also be right down here in the teacher or the presenter notes. So right here it says students may respond, and this one just happens to be like accept all responses. So you're just, all you need to do is really just go from what the slides say. I do not recommend opening up the slides and teaching on the fly. It will feel very, very, very repetitive, and it will feel very disjointed if you do that. But if you take 10 minutes before your lesson and you just flip through your slides and get an idea of what you're doing within that lesson and just familiarize yourself with it, you can start teaching it. It really is a plug and play. Not quite down to the moment of not being able to look at it ahead of time, but you really don't have to do a lot of the prep work that we've had to do before. I know I used to teach elementary, and trying to teach, from a teacher's guide that just had a bunch of black and white on it, and I would highlight things, and I'd have the teacher's guide on my arm, and I'd have sticky notes so I wouldn't forget to say things. You don't need any of that, because it just is all right here for you. If you see things that are in black text, that is something that you're going to say to your students. And then anything that's in orange, you're still saying it, but your students are going to be responding back to you. And then you all know what kind of response they're going to give, because you have a little icon that's here for it. So you're going to be reading a book. This is a handbook, the Handbook of Traits. You have 5 books, 5 different titles with each one of your units. And one of those titles is going to be a reference book. So you're going to be looking at your reference book today. And you just remind your students what it is that you guys are learning about. You have the vocabulary right there to introduce to them. You're going to put it up on your science wall too, but you don't need to remember it in the moment because it's right there. Let's see. We read a lot about, so the Handbook of Traits is something that I think you looked at actually in the first lesson briefly, because this is the book that you're going to be reading, Blue Whales and Buttercups. So you're going to be talking about the word organisms, right? You've got introducing this vocabulary word. You don't need to spend a lot of time pre-teaching vocabulary here, because you're going to be teaching that vocabulary explicitly within the activities that you're doing in those lessons. So that teaching is going to come in. We're going to introduce a word, and then we're going to immediately talk all about it within this text. So what do you know about organisms? How are they similar? How are they different? And then you're going to bring up this focal sense-making unit, or this language arts strategy that you're going to carry on throughout the unit. Each one of your units has a focal sense-making strategy, has a language arts strategy, and you carry that throughout your entire unit. So for this unit, you're going to focus on asking questions when you read. So that's why this slide is here. You're going to be introducing, okay, we're going to be reading this book, and we're going to be asking questions as we read. This is how we make ourselves good readers. And then you're going to be keeping track of the questions that you ask and your answers as you are reading. You will be modeling this to your student. You'll be talking about what kind of questions should I ask? They need to be on topic. Is there information in the book to help me answer them? What else should I do to investigate this question? So asking questions about what you're reading, and so you're just going to do a quick little mini lesson on asking questions while reading. Notice right here, it says introducing asking questions, activity 1, and it's 15 minutes. So that is a 15-minute mini lesson on asking questions while reading. Then you have the partner reading piece. So within activity 2, they're going to be partner reading for 30 minutes. You're going to introduce that in the next few slides. So we'll practice asking questions as we read. So I apologize, going back here, this is actually a anchor chart about asking questions. They will be logging their questions here actually. All right, so this is a notebook page that they have. So you'll, as you read, you're gonna ask questions and then you'll be reading a little bit to them and you'll be modeling asking a question as they read. Here's another thing for you to know. All of the text within Amplify are written at grade level. And they are complex text. And the reason that we don't have leveled readers within this program is because what makes the text complex is the science and the science language and the vocabulary that's there, right? It's those concepts in that vocabulary. And we need all of our students to be accessing that vocabulary and that science content at grade level. So we are scaffolding our students into that grade level so that they're all on that level playing field when it comes to learning the science that's there. So there are a few things that we do to build in strategies for you to help your students do that. One is that when you're reading a book, the part that you're modeling to the students is the most important part. It is the comprehension piece that we need them to know or get from the text. So whenever they're partner reading things that they don't necessarily, right? We're not holding them responsible for the comprehension of that when it comes to furthering their science knowledge for answering the phenomena or for the unit itself. The part that's important is always going to be the part that you're modeling to them. And then they'll have a chance to practice that language arts skill in the rest of their partner read. So they're going to then partner read, and I think actually you might, you're going to read another page to them. You're going to model that you found the answer to that question and talk about what other ways you could investigate answering that question. And then you're going to send them off to be reading. Notice you have an on-the-fly formative assessment here as well. You can always see when you have an opportunity to formatively assess your students when you see this little on-the-fly within your slides. If you want to know what you're going to be assessing, again, grab this, move it up, look at your presenter notes, and it will tell you what you can do during that. I guarantee you that this formative assessment is around, are your students asking questions? Can they ask questions as they're reading? So you'll be pulling this notebook page to take a look at, and then also walking around as they're partner reading and looking for evidence that they're asking questions as they read. They're going to be doing this page, so you're going to let them know. And then you're going to send them off to partner read. So that's another 15 minutes. Let's see. Then reflecting on the relatedness. So you're going to reflect. This is going to be actually a quick 15 minutes of reflecting on what they did during their partner time. So going back again, talking about some of the pages that are there, pointing out some of the more important things that are there that we're going to learn. Again, we're not holding students responsible for comprehension pieces that they are reading during partner time. And then that is the end of the lesson. So you had a quick little mini lesson on asking questions. You introduced the book and modeled to them what that looks like, also giving them that really important information that is from that book. And then after their partner reading, you had just a quick little 15-minute end of discussion about what they did read. And that is how you plan for a lesson. So if I go back after quickly going through this slide deck, I know already what I need to prep for this lesson. I need to get out these books from my kit so that my students have them. You'll have 18 of those, or you should have 18 of those in your kit unless the district bought more. We have 18 because we assume you have 36 students in your classroom and your students are always consuming this text in partners because that is a scaffolded, built-in support for your students to be accessing grade level text. So I need to get out this book. And for this, that's all I need to do. And I have this vocabulary word that if I don't already have it up on my board, I need to get it out and put it up on my board. A lot of teachers will build their entire science wall ahead of time and flip everything backwards. And then when they get to that piece, they'll just flip it forward. And that is a way that you don't have to continue building your wall. You can spend, 15 minutes one day doing it instead of a couple minutes every few days doing it. So that is those are your slides, and that is how we recommend you plan for a lesson. I just go back through and I just pull anything that I need. If I have a hands-on, I'm going to have a picture of all the pieces that I need to pull from my tub or my kit. I'm going to have a picture of that within my slides. And then what I'll do is I'll go back, and you have tabs open here at the top. So this slide deck is just a tab. I'm just going to tab back over to my curriculum. And I'm going to go to my materials and prep, and I can also see right there my materials and prep a more, just like a more pointed version of how I can get ready for that lesson. Oh, there was also a T-chart that we made, an anchor chart about asking questions. So I need to get a piece of paper out to do that as well. So I go back to my materials and prep, and it will tell me exactly if there was anything that I needed to prep for a hands-on. I would have explicit instructions on how to do that there. I also have differentiation for every single lesson. So if I think, well, I'm going to have to differentiate a little bit for my students, maybe I have a high EL population in my classroom and I want to know a little bit more about what I can do for them. I have a designated ELD section here, things that they can do during their designated time. I have things that I can do in class to help out my students who are my EL students. I also have just students who need more support in general. And I always have a piece here for students who need more of a challenge. So if you have those students within the classroom, or you have those parents who say, how are you going to challenge my student? Every single Amplify lesson has this challenge piece, and it is quite typically not anything else that you need to prepare for. This does have a notebook page that is involved in it. So if you have the entire notebook, then they'd have the page already. If you don't have the entire notebook, then you would just need to go back to your digital resources, and your notebook page, I believe, is right here. So you would just need to click on that. Let's try it. We'll just click on that and then print out that notebook page. You're going to have to do that anyway if you don't have them already, because there's the page that they use when they're doing the book. And if you have any kids that need that extra piece, they have this reading reflection for them to do, and you would just print that out for them. And then you would have a little something extra for your students who need a little bit more of a challenge. So that is how we access and plan for lessons. Very, very simple, very easy to follow. Do you guys have any questions? This says that all of your kits have been supplied with one hard copy so that you don't have to pull the PDF from here to go make copies. You just have a book with all the copies in it already. Oh yeah, you're right about the Lassen National Park with the inheritance and traits. That is a really fun one. Strawberry Hill in Gigi Park has a butterfly habitat. Very cool. Butterflies that are in the Academy of Sciences Arboretum, sometimes special exhibits at the Conservatory of Flowers. Oh, very cool. I'm just going to allow for a little awkward silence. If anyone has a question, you can put it in the chat or come off of mute. My cat has very much decided that she wants up on my lap, and we are fighting currently. I'm trying to push her down and she is very insistent. She might bite me in a minute. So if I say ow, you'll know why. I am looking for, this is what I was looking for. Okay, so the district would like some feedback from you on what how this session went for you and what you might need as far as some professional development support in the future. So if you can use the QR code to or to follow the bit.ly here at the bottom. Anastasia, I think, are you going to put the bit.ly in the chat as well?
Yes, I put in a full link that I had. So
Okay.
either should work.
Thanks, Connie. So just make sure that you fill this out before you go. I know the district is always looking for feedback. So there's a link in the chat, and then you can use the QR code, either one. Christy, I'm going to send this over to Anastasia to see what she has to say about answering this question. So second grade, let me guess, you're thinking of properties of materials. That's just a wild guess on my part that that's what the one that you're talking about with lots of materials. Yeah, this one can be a really fun one, the properties of materials, but I think this is also one in which there's a lot of repetition that if your students are really catching on and getting it, you can really, you can like, take a couple of things and squish them together, or just do more of a demonstration with students and things like that. Because there are a lot of materials in this unit. The answer, though, is I don't know. I don't know if we can get something together like that. Anastasia has your information, and also we can, I can go back and I can talk to you. Is it Marcy? I can't remember. Renee. I don't know why I want to call her Marcy. Renee. I can go back and talk to Renee a little bit about it and see if there's something that we can come up with.
Are you, sorry, Karen, are you referring to the question from Christy?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm replying to her now, and we
Okay.
can definitely follow up with that. No problem.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions before we wrap up? Hopefully you are walking away from today with a fairly decent understanding of what is in that first unit that you're going to be teaching, where to find the materials to teach it, and then where to find and access your other units when you finish that one.
And if you have more questions, we'll be doing grade span, another introduction focusing more on the district portal on Monday. So there'll be a kindergarten, a first and second grade, and then a third through fifth. So any questions you have, please bring it to the Monday session, and you'll get that information from your school site, what time it is.
Thanks, Deborah. All right, do we need to stay on until 3:15 or can we end a little bit early if everyone is done?
I would think we can end early if everybody's done.
Okay, I think all districts have a little bit different rules, so I always like to ask. Thank you, Elaine. All right, I'm going to stay on for about 2 more minutes just to make sure that everyone has had a chance to access this URL and do the survey. And then we will go ahead and end. I see lots of people dropping out and saying thank you. Appreciate you guys as well. You were a very nice, although very large group today. Actually, I'll probably just stay until everyone has a chance to drop off.
Karen, were there any other, I think for some reason, everybody had you as their, I wasn't getting much in the chat after a while. So were there anything else that came up in the chat that needs to be addressed? Other than I got Christy Jacobson, and some of the middle school confusion.
Christy was there. There wasn't a whole lot else. I was kind of trying to keep an eye on it as well. I know I'm not even used to having somebody man my chat for me. Let's see. Great inheritance and traits. That's you. I read out quite a few of them where the teachers were just things.
The butterflies and stuff. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, but no other direct questions. There was somebody who said there was a lot of information.
Yeah.
That maybe could use some, here, I'll send that one to you. Maybe could use a little support.
Sure.
Really, that was it though.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, that was it. We have about 20 people left on the call. Feel free to, continue to ask questions if you have any. I'm just gonna give it till 3:10 because we still have a few people on. And then we'll just end for everyone.
Yeah, I got that they were still, just forgot to log off.
Oh yeah, sometimes that happens. People forget.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Karen, for doing this, going over Amplify can be overwhelming in the beginning, trying to
Yeah, and you
figure
guys
out
have
all
put
the
in
parts.
a lot of work there too, to, a lot of really cool local stuff and things like that. So I'm happy to help, and I hope that it did help. I think we had like 83 people on here at one point.
Exactly. Yeah. It was good
Hopefully it was
turnout.
helpful.
Yeah, I think so. All
Well,
right. Thank you
Go
very
jump on
much.
a plane. I'll see you. Have a great
All
school
right.
year.
Oh my gosh. All right. Good. Take
Thanks.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.